Stranded on a deserted stretch of Route 66, Alex and Jenna find an eerie motel that seems too good to be true. But when they check in, they realize not all rooms are meant to be rented. Some doors should never be opened. Get ready for a chilling tale that will leave you questioning reality. Alex and Jenna had been driving for hours, the monotonous stretch of Route 66 fading into the horizon, swallowed up by the endless desert. The last signs of civilization had long since disappeared, leaving only dead trees and cracked asphalt. The sun had set hours ago, and now the only light came from their headlights, cutting through the thick darkness. Their car was running on fumes, the fuel gauge hovering dangerously close to empty. The road stretched on, unchanging and isolating, as if they were driving through a never-ending void. "Great," Alex muttered, tapping the steering wheel. "We're out of gas, and the phones aren't working. Not exactly the way I imagined this trip." Jenna glanced nervously at the darkened road ahead, her hand gripping the door handle. There was something unsettling about the silence, something she couldn't explain. Suddenly, in the distance, a flicker of light broke the monotony, a neon sign glowing faintly in the distance. "Vacancy." Alex squinted, relieved. "Looks like we found somewhere to stay." As they pulled off the road, the empty parking lot greeted them. Not a single other car in sight. The building itself looked old and forgotten, its lights flickering weakly like they were struggling to stay on. Alex hesitated for a moment, his instincts telling him this place might not be the safest, but with no other options, they decided to risk it. The creaking of the door as they entered made the hairs on the back of Jenna's neck stand up. The interior was as bleak as the outside, dim, musty, and coated in dust. Behind the front desk sat an old man, his face gaunt with deep, hollow eyes that seemed to stare right through them. His skin was pale, and he didn't blink once as they approached. "Do you have any rooms?" Alex asked, forcing a smile. The old man didn't respond immediately. He just turned to a dusty logbook, the pages yellowed with age. The last entry was dated 1989. After a long pause, he slid a key across the counter. "Room 13, he whispered in a voice that barely broke the silence. "It's for you. But be warned. If you hear a knock, do not open the door." Jenna shivered at his words. There was something unnerving in the way he said it, as though he wasn't just giving advice, but offering a warning from the depths of his own fear. Alex chuckled nervously, shaking his head. "You watch too many horror movies, old man." But Jenna couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. She followed Alex to the hallway, glancing over her shoulder once more before they disappeared into the shadows. The door to room 13 was old, its wooden frame chipped and peeling. The carpet inside was sticky, as if something had been spilled and never cleaned. A broken phone sat on the desk, its cord cut cleanly, the end frayed like it had been torn out in a hurry. There was a faint smell of decay, the kind that clings to old places, never truly leaving. The room was sparse, but what caught their attention was the ceiling, deep scratches, as if something had been trying to escape, but couldn't. Jenna hesitated, feeling a growing unease. "This place feels wrong." Alex tried to make light of it, but then the TV turned on by itself. The screen was a blur of static for a moment before it cleared, showing an image of the exact same room, but from a different angle. It was as though someone had filmed them while they weren't looking. "No cameras in here," Alex muttered, his stomach tightening. At exactly 3:13 a.m., a loud knock echoed from the door. Jenna froze, staring at the door, her mind racing. "The old man. He warned us," she whispered, her breath shallow. Alex went to the peephole. His eyes scanned the hallway, but there was no one there. Yet there on the ground, just under the door, was a letter. He bent down cautiously and picked it up, his fingers trembling. The note inside read, "You're already here." Alex stared at it, confusion flooding his mind. The writing was barely legible, as if hastily scrawled by someone in a panic. Before he could speak, the water in the bathroom started slapping against the walls, as if someone was moving around inside. Jenna moved toward the bathroom, her heart pounding in her chest. The door was half ajar, and the water splashed ominously from within. She pushed the door open slowly, and as she did, she caught a glimpse of a shadow in the mirror. Her breath caught in her throat as she reached out to pull the shower curtain back. A cold hand brushed against her arm, sending a surge of panic through her. She turned quickly, but there was nothing there. Just then, the TV flickered on again. This time, the images were disturbing. They saw the same room, only this time, someone who looked exactly like Jenna was sitting in the bed, staring at them, mouth agape, in a silent scream. The figure on the screen suddenly twitched, and then screamed, the sound crackling through the room like a banshee's wail. Panic set in. Alex grabbed Jenna's arm, pulling her toward the door, but as they exited into the hallway, the motel lobby was completely abandoned. There was no sign of the administrator, no one. The front desk was covered in dust, untouched for decades. The windows were boarded up, the entire place seemingly forgotten by time. They ran outside into the parking lot, desperate to escape, only to find that the motel had changed. The neon sign was shattered, the building rotting. Their car was gone, replaced by a rusted old sedan. Jenna looked at her phone in disbelief. The time read 3:13 a.m., the exact moment they had entered. "Alex, this can't be real," she whispered, her voice shaking. "We've been stuck here. We're trapped in some kind of loop." As she turned around, her blood ran cold. The old man was standing right behind them, his eyes hollow and empty. "You knew this number was cursed," he said, his voice gravelly and low. "Room 13 hasn't been rented out in 34 years. He smiled, but it wasn't friendly. It was horrifying. Suddenly their car pulled up, but there was something wrong. The figures inside were exactly like Alex and Jenna, exact replicas. They stepped out of the car with an eerie calm and walked straight toward them, their movements stiff, unnatural. They looked like their doubles, but there was something deeply wrong about them. As they passed, Alex tried to scream, but his voice wouldn't work. Jenna tried to move, but her body wouldn't respond. Then, the air grew colder. From the shadows, dozens of eyes appeared, glowing faintly. They were watching, silent and waiting. And Alex realized too late. They were now part of the motel, trapped forever. What if the nightmare never ends? Alex and Jenna thought they escaped, but in this story, things are never as they seem. They'll never leave this motel. The end. If you enjoyed the story, please like and subscribe. It helps us bring you more terrifying and thrilling stories. Thank you for watching the video, and see you next time.